Genshin developer actually leaked the main plot of Genshin Impact in a Q&A session 3 years ago. Thankfully, only a few players noticed and decoded his interview. If not, this trailer wouldn't have been as insane of a reveal as it was. So let me explain how a 3-year-old interview actually spoiled the biggest lore drop video in Genshin Impact, how it might reveal the true power of Genshin's final antagonist, the one and only ruler of Teyvat, and whether we can actually kill them, because some of the shades aren't as loyal as they seem. By the way, if you like this video, please subscribe. It's completely free, and if you decide I smell later down the line, you can always unsubscribe. It all started with a Q&A session done in Chinese that was later translated to English by the Discord server Wangshin Funeral Parlor. The interview was pretty normal until we got to this one question about how they designed the themes of the artifacts. That's a standard interview question, nothing special. Started talking about how their inspiration came from tarot cards and William Blake's poetry, until suddenly they had to stop themselves. They realized they said too much. Quote, "If I keep going along this line, we will be touching upon the core of the story, so it might be hard for me to go into further details." But that was enough, because that alone was enough to expose the powers of the main antagonists of Genshin Impact, the Heavenly Principles and the Four Shades. Okay, but first of all, what are the Four Shades? Think of them as helper gods that the Heavenly Principles, aka the Big Daddy ruler of Teyvat, otherwise known as Fanes, otherwise known as the Primordial One, they are not the Heavenly Principles. Notice how she's called the Sustainer of the Heavenly Principles and not the Heavenly Principles? But even though they're helpers, don't get them wrong, the Shades are incredibly powerful, much stronger than the Archons. You can literally see this in this video when Ronova scoffs at the Sarita's power, calling them paltry. So yes, they're much stronger, but it doesn't stop there. This dev proceeded to spoil the powers of every single shade. See, once players realized the 5 circles could represent Fanes and the 4 shades, they thought, you know what else has 5 pieces? Artifacts. What if each piece represented 1 shade and Fanes? Wait, but isn't that a stretch? How the would you know what a f***ing goblet represents? Oh, don't worry, our developer friend was here to help us. In that very same interview, he states the themes for each artifact. This naughty boy, the flower of life, literally Naberius, now neighbor daughter since Ryan daughter freaking ate her heart and fused with her. The plume of death, Ronova. The sands of time, Istaroth. The goblet of space, Asmoday. It actually blows my mind. This was in an interview 3 years ago. But what's even crazier is the shade symbols that have been littered everywhere in game. Neighbor daughter's DNA helix symbols are on all beings whose powers are associated with life. Nahida, Apep, even Nuvolette. Since all life on Teyvat actually traces its origins to primordial water, even their digital looking powers seem to extend to a lot of Dendro characters, suggesting that Dendro may have been derived from the shade of life's power. Renova's eyes are an Arlecchino and very weirdly Raiden, with the statue of the omnipresent god in the middle of Inazuma, literally being Ronova. Raiden also has a ton of eye motifs, even on her big TV boss form. So we've covered the flower, the feather, plume, sands, and goblet. But what about the circlet? Well, the circlet might represent the true power of the actual Heavenly Principle, Fanes. And it's the circlet of reason. Fane's power is reason. This is actually backed up by the 5-star weapon skins that revealed there's one sinner that matches every shade's power. Life, death, void, time, and once again, reason. Okay, but what the is the power of reason? Is good at writing expository debates? To be honest, I don't really know, but I have a theory. It's not the power of wisdom or big brain. It's the power to make others obey you. Why do I say that? Because even though the Heavenly Principles is asleep, the shades seem to be bound to something. They have to follow his rules, which brings us to our final question. Can the Fatui actually kill Fanes? Can we beat the Heavenly Principles? The Heavenly Principles has been asleep, silent, ever since the Cataclysm 500 years ago. But their 4 shades are still active and very powerful. But are the shades evil? Are they here to help humanity? Or are they loyal to Fanes? For starters, like I mentioned earlier, all of them are bound to a set of rules set by the Heavenly Principles, no matter what they want to do, even if they want to intervene. And one of those rules is not interfering with humanity's fate, which means they can't really help us or even hurt us. But funnily enough, one of the shades has actually broken that rule 3 times. Ronova, the ruler of death, who's seemingly heartless, placing on Conrians that torture them to this day, Ronova has actually aided humanity a lot. She did this even at the cost of breaking the rules, interfering with humanity's fate 3 times. 1, by creating the Night Kingdom as reparation for leaving them without ley lines. 2, by showing Xbalanque Nadlin's future of being consumed by the Abyss. 3, by lending Xbalanque her power to create the Ode of Resurrections, which made the Heavenly Principles very displeased with her. That might explain why she's so nervous in this trailer, especially after Daughter broke the rules by creating an experimental realm of humans and quickly destroyed it. And now, as much as she might want to help humans, she's clearly too scared to do so. So she's mainly serving the Heavenly Principles for now. Daughter or Naberius seems to care very little for the rules or life itself, literally creating a realm of humans capable of speaking the truth behind Teyvat. This is a fun experiment, even though that's A, illegal by the Heavenly Principle standard, B, morally incredibly questionable. Those poor experimental humans. On the other hand, she also doesn't care much for the Heavenly Principles, going as far as to say that she too would hypothetically try to kill the Heavenly Principles while they're asleep. However, Naberius is still part of her consciousness and is able to keep her in check. She seems to be neutral, neither caring for humanity nor the Heavenly Principles. Istaroth is really sus. She clearly has something to do with Venti, sharing the same voice actors across all 4 languages. Did she create Venti? Is part of her Venti? Is she Venti? It remains to be seen. She has aided humanity by helping Makoto create a time loop where the sacred Sakura tree could be planted from the future to help with the cataclysm. Saved the people of Incademia by teaching them how to make their sun. However, she did with the Abyss sibling very hard, directly contributing to the fall of Conria by ensuring the Abyss sibling would look for us instead of defending Conria from the cataclysm. Whether she did this of her own volition or on the Heavenly Principle's orders, we don't know. I'd say she's the biggest wildcard. And finally, Asmoday, the one who separated the twins at the very start of the game, and now seems to have abandoned her post as a shade altogether. Istaroth speculates she's serving a new master who she loves more than herself. Is that master the Traveler? So of the 4 shades, only one is genuinely serving the Heavenly Principles. So I'd say it doesn't look too good for Team Heavenly Principles, but aware of the Fatoui's plot to kill the gods, they plan to intervene within the rules. So it remains to be seen. Anyway, subscribe!